Welcome to another episode of the Hoff Time Report. I'm Wayne Hoffman, and I serve as the president of the Idaho Freedom Foundation. I'm coming to you from the Hoff Building in beautiful downtown Boise. I'm so grateful that you're with us today. The 2021 legislative session is just around the corner, beginning January 11th, and there are some huge issues on the table. Today, I want to share with you our vision for what a successful session would look like. So let's begin. Our country, as you know, is in trouble. And if Governor Brad Little is honest about the real state of our state, he'll acknowledge as much as he opens the session, and doing so will allow Idaho lawmakers to confront and lead on the obstacles that stand in the way of the United States continuing to be the world's beacon of opportunity and freedom. Let's start with the governor and many legislators' number one concern for every legislative session since 1890, education. Americans have failed to teach our history and our values to our children. Some would argue, as I do, that this is by design. You wouldn't expect a government-run K-12 or higher education system to reinforce the ideas associated with a limited government. Accordingly, most young people don't understand or appreciate the nature of unalienable rights, a constitutionally limited government, a free society, the importance of private property, the right of self-defense, or the freedom of assembly or worship. If freedom is hardly taught, it is easily surrendered, and it was in 2020. We can do nothing and hope that future generations of Americans will be passionate about liberty and defending the same, or we can attack the problem at its source. Idaho is one of few states in the country where this work can get done. Little and lawmakers need to commit to fixing our K-12 education system. The discussion should not simply be about adding more money to preserve mediocrity. The conversation should be about implementing policies that free young people from government schools that fail them and fail our country. Instead of protecting a failed system on the outflow of students, it's time for legislation that allows students and taxpayer dollars to go where their educational goals are best met. Lawmakers also need to honor the commitment they made last year to repeal the disastrous Common Core education standards, an experiment that has produced no good results since 2010. Further, labor union bosses have more control over our schools than our elected school boards. Our public schools are little more than a rallying point, an indoctrination factory, a revenue generator for groups like the National Education Association. Lawmakers must restore the balance of power in our school districts so that special interest groups are not allowed to shape the minds and call the shots at the expense of our children. Next, state officials need to get serious about getting control of our higher education system. In particular, Boise State University and the University of Idaho have become headquarters for leftist movements in our state. Both schools use public money to advance an anti-American agenda better suited for Portland or Seattle. BSU and Idaho State University are both home to the socialist radio mouthpiece, National Public Radio. Racism and radicalism are so baked into the system that our public education system or higher education system forces students to go through a socialist indoctrination system in order to get a degree. If we don't confront these issues head on, Idaho will be a haven for the left. State lawmakers must repeal those laws that were brazenly used to shut down businesses and quarantine healthy people in their homes and threaten Idahoans with fines and jail time for just behaving as free people do. The legislature cannot allow government officials to treat people as mere subjects. And finally, our state government taxes people on the food they eat, the income they earn, and the property they own. These taxes are contrary to the principles of freedom. And if ever there was a year to cut taxes, this is it. 3 years ago, Brad Little said removing the grocery tax for all Idahoans is the right thing to do. And if Little doesn't aggressively push for a repeal of the grocery tax in this legislative session, it means he never really meant it. And I sincerely hope that's not the case. The grocery tax repeal is a priority for this session, as the state's tax collection have been more than robust enough to pay for it, as well as for a reduction of the income tax. Removing the sales tax on groceries, lowering the income tax, cutting property taxes should be front and center in the 2021 legislative session. This session will be my 27th regular Idaho legislative session, and I can safely say that the tasks at hand have never been more daunting or more important. The overarching goal should be the advancement of freedom, and a successful session to that end may well make the difference, not only for Idaho, but for an entire nation. Thanks for listening and watching. Be sure to press the like button and subscribe on your favorite listening platform. We'll be sure to talk again real soon.